It's the button. Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. We're getting started a little earlier tonight. We are working with, or we're planning to work on, more file loading system changes. So I've worked on this a little since the last stream, but we've still got a bit to go here. We've got to convert over all of the behaviors. I'm currently moving some windows around. We've still got to load all of the behaviors. Hello there, Sherbet. Hello. Which is a good note. Let's check in with the kitties first. Sherbet has jumped up behind my head, so he's getting intensive scratches here. Sammy is over on the side table. Once again, the canvas drop cloth is a real win for them. So she is laying on top of a little floor mat that has a drop cloth over the whole table. So further to the side, there's a area without the rug under it, or the little floor mat under it, that they also like to lay on, but it gives them two different... It means that they have a lot of different textures to lay on around the house. Sherbet is so nimble compared to the others. You could see him... So next to Sky is a little C shape on the canvas bridge. It's just kind of like a spot that they can lay down. They generally don't. One of these times I'll reformat that bridge. But he jumped up to that and then leapt up to the higher level. Most of the others don't bother with that. They'll walk around. But he'll climb stuff. But yeah, Sky's in his tree. Ember's in her favorite spot. And Mason is on the bed. Sherbet is up and to my left, looking down at me. He's about 3-4 feet in the air above my chair, and every now and then he'll do a dive bomb onto the backrest. But yes, we are working on the file loading system. Let's see which camera it was set to. Yeah, that'll do. So what we've got right now, and I can show this in play. When we start, we're going to load the files, and we're going to go into data behaviors. We're going to find every file in it that's a text file. We're going to open that up. We're going to parse it out into a dictionary of strings. We're going to use that to build objects. If we were using Godot 4.4, which will be coming out eventually, we would have access to some of the JSON parsing. I don't know how much of that we'd really be able to use, because there are elements of the object construction that are kind of nested, and I don't want to constantly reinvent the wheel with some of the movement objects. So this dictionary pattern, I think, is good enough. But we go in, we find them, we load them in. So this is the directory we're looking for. This is the handler function we're calling. And then this is the extension we're looking for. This is pretty universal. We're not really going to be looking for any other file extension with this pattern, but, you know, it's there. Get directory file contents. Yeah. Okay, we don't have to pass that. I defaulted it. Star.txt. This is here just as a just in case. We use that for get files, we're saying what's the directory path and what are we searching for. In this case, we're searching for text files. We go over each file in there, open it up, pull the pieces out as the dictionary of strings, close the file. Then we call into the parser function, which is what we passed in here. We're going to go into that. We're going to make sure the file contents are there of some kind. Then we're going to check and see if it has these values. Now, I'm going to want to eventually put more fail-safes in here, so if the file is malformed, it throws a bigger fit. And that we don't get a crash case. Ultimately, what I want to have happen is it does not load the object that the file represents, and it logs an error in a file somewhere. We'll get to that. So now we're looking and saying, oh, it's a behavior, so I'm going to make one of these types. We're going to parse this down further. We're going to parse it down to, like, this is a movement behavior. The reason that I'm going to break it down further is there are going to be a lot of them. And these all need what amounts to switch statements. Is it one of these? Is it one of these? Is it one of these? It's not terribly efficient, but we're only going to be doing this once per run. So shouldn't be an issue. We load it up, and then we use the file name as the result. What I'm probably going to do here... we're going to force uppercase it. Reason being is I don't want this to be case sensitive, the references. This I'm okay with being case sensitive, but this shouldn't be. Or at least these parts won't be. For the time being, that will be case sensitive. But in particular, this is the key that you'll be using. So this should always be uppered. But we'll go into the movement behavior. This is all of the handling for that. To remember to do that in all the other places. So we're going to go up to here. Hollow all of this out. If it is a movement behavior, we're going to subtype these. All right, I'm sorry, we're going to further break down the types. We're not just going to say behavior. We're going to say this is a movement behavior. It doesn't make a difference to the file contents. Ultimately, it's still going to parse them the same way. But it lets me break them down further inside the code here. I could have, like, hey, it's going to use prefixes and say it's a move function because it has move at the beginning of it. That is a way I could handle it, but we're going to go with typing here. I'm going to say parse movement behavior, and we're going to pass in the file name and the file contents. So if to collision behavior, so we get this loaded in. Oh, no, that else if doesn't go there, it goes here. Then we are going to parse collision behavior. Again, all of these, we're just breaking them up for code cleanliness, let's call it. Because again, all of them are going to have this big long if-else, where we have each of the movement types. A dress-up minigame. Not yet, Lunar. Would be a comical event of some kind, potentially. How you doing, Lunar? Oh, and hey, Copperpot. Welcome back. Oh. Oh. What kind of language, what kind of coding you working with up front? I wonder if I could dictionary this. Like create a static dictionary. Not a static. But oh, maybe a static. But at the beginning load up all of these so that instead we use a key and say, hey, here's the upper subtype. What is the type to instantiate? Sammy. Hey. Oh. We'll have to clean that up a little bit. For now, okay, so that's as good a phrase as any for what I understand. You're just kind of doing behavioral blocks, kind of, if this value is true, then execute next block kind of stuff. I mean, I've seen plenty of games where Space Baba Yaga spawning witches on motorcycles would be par for the course. I mean, there are plenty of systems, Copperpot, that do that kind of thing. I think Game Maker Studio uses a pattern like that, too. Enemy health. Harm. Player and kill collision target. Hey, then we need. Oh. And we'll set the types now. These don't have the dictionary pattern on them yet. They will momentarily. That's why they're complaining. Knockback. For those who weren't here when we made this, collision player is special. That is, the collision player marker will always be the one that the player has, and it will be a more complex handler than the others. But like enemies use collision harm and collision harm self, while bullets will use things like harm self. That kind of stuff. Player and may remove this. This was largely a debugging one, but you know. That's behavior. So we're not going to do this kind of thing anymore. We are going to do our behavior class. This one. So all of them need one of these. Collections generic to handle dictionaries. Integer. Yeah, we need. Actually, like. Like that. So the problem with converting it to a specific bit range is if this int is ever not a 32-bit, that's different. That is different. And I want to be careful about unsigned here, because if you do unsigned and if at any point health drops below 0, you can get a roll around kind of thing where you went from 0 to max unsigned int, and health logic would fail at that point. It could do. It could just convert it to a double and then to an int. Again, not efficient, but we're only really doing this during the load up. The advantage with doing it as a double is that this is not a bit specific operation. that's that one. That. Our generic collections in there. So what we're doing here is we're going through each of the classes and setting up how it handles these incoming properties. Where each layer of them will have that, but say like a collision harm, if I'm creating that, you have to specify what the damage is. This is one that I think I will move. This logic here is that it might be more relevant to have, well, it will be more relevant to have iframes somewhere else. But what this does is it doesn't care how long it has been, but if any time passes, we will get it can do damage again. But it can't inflict damage to multiple targets in the same frame. No, this is good. This isn't an iframe thing. This is just, it hit something this frame. We're done calculating what it hit. Here's our collision harm. Self is pretty much the same thing. Oh, and it just extends harm, so I don't need another dictionary there. Should be true. We'll see. I may have done that structure wrong. Let's knock back strength, which is a double. Strength as the value. This back over here. That one. That. Collision player is currently special. It doesn't have anything like this in it. Yeah, there's one place that collision player is located. We are setting this up so if we do add properties, it'll already be wired in. And kill target is the same way. Doesn't have anything special that it loads. Okay. Yeah, and harm self does still need it. I need to check that. This is important just for the base to be called. Let's go up to behavior. All the catalogable things should have this, so let's go to iCatalogable. This. A lot of the logic, the actual game logic, is broken as of now because it won't find some of these values in the dictionaries and will have a problem accordingly. Messages, timer, lifespan handler. All right, we need to have the override in here for it to work. Is obnoxious, but I thought because it's passing an abstract down that it would need to be implemented, but because a parent class implements it, it's good enough. Such as Godot. No. That, and then that. That. The lifespan. Okay. So now a lifespan handler can be loaded in if it has the lifespan property. Otherwise, stuff will break. Similarly, now we need spawn spread to do that. here. Okay, we need a lot of stuff. Just like with the last one, we're going to cast this double as an int. We're converting to a double so that we don't have to worry about bit size of an int. We're just saying, make this a double, convert it over to an int. Then we also need angle. It's equal to, this one's just a double. This is how far around a circle it's spread out. So right now, I believe our spread shot is a 90-degree arc of 3 projectiles. This lets you change that. I think it's actually 45 at the moment. Okay. And then angle increment will be calculated. So need Godot in there. Okay. Okay, so we populate them and then we actually parse it out here. When we duplicate it, we already know what those are. Like all of these values are already known because this will have been called. Which will let us move this to protected. One of the other files is going to complain because I did that. Okay, good there. We got all the movement behaviors updated. The messages don't need to be. Okay. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to take a quick break. That'll probably mean that the ad break for Twitch will fall at an awkward place, but such is life. Be right back. And we're back. Or if you can see this. Loading. He will play on that extensively, especially if I'm walking by, he will try to run over there to be pet and to have the puck move near him. He's a little sweetheart. His behavior reminds me a lot of Rorschach. He's very slow. In a lot of senses of that. Okay, so we've got this in place. These won't work anymore. Whole lot of stuff is going to be breaking as we go along here. Empty behavior doesn't actually need to do anything, but we should include it. Let's leave that alone for now. Okay, so we have all of the basics here. Now let's start getting them into their files. There we go. Drawing a blank. Okay, so for collision behaviors, we do need to specify them. That is, we are going to have a file that is for, like, this is blob damage. And there's nothing stopping us from having them all in the same folder, so having things like, you know, entity blob and entity blob damage, that kind of thing, as files will be useful. Would it be nice to have them all in the same file? Yeah, it would. We could cover some of that, actually. Because we could make it so every file has to be an array, so that then I could load multiple things into that array and parse them out. That way, say, like, the blob file could have multiple, but that ruins the file naming pattern. So let's just stick with separate files for it. It can be cumbersome if you want to change a lot of stuff. How are we going to do this? So I just realized a problem. To do this cleanly, we would need to do a breath first, but that's not going to fly. Which means they would have to be in separate folders, which creates a bit of a hassle. Because, well, no, behaviors are loaded before entities. Yeah, we're okay. It does mean, like, again, enemy damage is in a separate folder, but it's kind of the nature of the beast. So let's go through here. We need collision behaviors. All this here. Now, we could just say it's damage number. You know, harm 0-1 would be cause 1 damage kind of thing. Yeah. Let's go with that. Most things under my current assumption here are going to use small numbers. Because I'm kind of hoping to avoid arbitrary like health value listings. Like, oh, this guy has 154 HP, and the enemies do some amount of that damage. I kind of want to go for like hearts, you know? If you take a hit, you lose a heart. You have X of them. Maybe there will be power-ups that give you extra hearts. Or circumstances under which you get other hearts. Okay, so we have... all of the files, all at once, Tass. All behaviors have a gate. Did I do those test ones? Okay, we don't need name anymore. Okay, type, subtype, gate key, variables. Yep. It makes for... Arts makes for, I think, some more flexibility in what we can do with it. It gives us something... It also gives you a real quantifiable, this is how much I healed for, this is how much I took. Is... Like, that thing hit me and I took 1 heart of damage is different than that thing hit me and, you know, I lost 1/4 to 1/3 of my health bar. It's a fuzzy number. All right, we're going to make a template file here. From, zoom in here. From the distance that I'm looking at it, and potentially what you're seeing as well, it really looks like ham 01. All right, so we have harm. We're going to make a template behavior here to save me some time while doing this, because all of them will have this. Fun thing, this file will intrinsically not be read because nothing will have a type of type. So I don't have to worry about this template behavior being here. We have harm 01. So that will cover blobs and bullets doing damage. Harm. We need collision, enemy health, and knockback. Copy, paste. It also makes it so we have a very limited pool of what we need to have as far as how much health they have, kind of thing. They have 1, 2, or 3 hits they can take, kind of stuff. And reduces the complexity on, say, our bullet system, where a power-up, instead of saying it does 10% more damage, it would be it does 1 more damage. Really punchy, really tangible. So things that used to take 2 hits take 1 now. What's that one called? That is a collision enemy health. And enemy health behaviors have a health property. Okay, that gives us the blob's health. Hey there, Lore. How you doing? Damage. Let's add a lifespan. That. It also means that my we're going to call that base bullet lifespan. Because we want it to have this to be something that is clean to change as a lifespan property. That is, if I want bullets to live less or more time, then I can just change this value. I don't have to worry that the lifespan number is wonky in that regard. Catalog, now we need knockback. Knockback should also be something that I have baked in. I'm sorry, to have baked in kind of, you only do this once kind of thing. A bullet will only inflict 1 knockback at a time. No, I think we can here. It's 24 here. Okay, that is a quarter of a block. All right. And a knockback is a strength value. So this one's a bit fiddly. I could have strength come in as a... What would it be? A kind of a descriptor instead of a hard number. Which I have the capability of doing, such that I could say, no, this is quarter or something like that. And if strength is quarter, it would do the math to find out, oh, that's 24. This is important because 24 is based on a scale of 6. As far as it's how many pixels we want it to move in world space kind of thing. And since all of our pixels are based on a 16 by 16 sprite currently, with a particular number visible on screen, it ends up being a scale of 6. So every square on the screen, every sprite is actually 96 by 96 instead of 16 by 16. Okay. So we have knockback quarter in there. We have enemy health, we have harm, we've got lifespan. Exactly, Laura. Matter cannot be destroyed unless its timer is up. Kind of an existential thought there. What is the timer of your matter, you know? Have move player. We're also going to need to change a lot of our catalog constants here. Actually, no. Because all of this stuff is going to be defined in files. There's going to be some more song and dance past the startup here, past testing, where we will have things like definitions for the startup. Like, which weapon do we load onto the character at the beginning? Which things start spawning, that kind of thing. Those are more files we could load, more objects we could load, which further removes the need for catalog constants. But again, there's going to be some bumps. All right, this is where our empty behavior shows up. all these special behaviors, because they're not really a movement type. Let's actually be exact about this. Doesn't match perfectly, it doesn't match. Also need this in empty behavior. And it does nothing, but it needs to be there. We need empty behaviors because we want to have, at the moment, for debugging purposes, we have behaviors that sole purpose is to act as a standalone gate. Under actual gameplay circumstances, like release values, we are not going to use that. Instead, we're going to use gates inside particular objects, like spread shots in similar are almost certainly going to be gated, because we want those eating up the lifespan. If you have to wait 3 seconds on a 10-second bullet before it splits into 3, that means that you've only got 7 seconds of 3 bullets from a single shot, and so on and so on. It changes the value equation on them, making them not universally the best thing ever to include, because a gate is a big behavior change on the bullet, while still maintaining the fact that multiplying your bullets is fantastic. It's just that it is not functional and in generally impractical to stack only that. Welcome back, dude. We are converting our catalog over to a file system, which means everything is broken at the moment as we fill in the files. We won't actually be able to launch the game until we get this fixed. But what it means is that I can do all of my loading in this. So, like, this is the definition for a quarter square knockback. I only have to change it in the files, and it will mean that creating debug kind of world setups becomes a matter of specifying a different data folder, which will be neat. But like I said, we are now going through our catalog and unbreaking things. Because we need to change all of this stuff into files. Absolutely, Lunar. It will enable modding, like, immediately. There's mod cleanliness I'd like to get set up. Load order, that kind of thing. All right, dude. But it would mean that, like, out of the box, you could go in and have a mod, like a Nexus style mod, that is just drop these files on top of the base files. What I'd want is to have a secondary folder that gets loaded first. And anything in the secondary folder essentially wins over the base folder. What we'll probably add is here we're going to say, if this doesn't already exist, do the check. That way, it's if there is an override in place or there's a pre-existing file, then we have logic for it. I will probably then also need to have logic that says, if it's overridden, is this because we just loaded the mods, or is it because of something else? But problems for later. Problems for later. Okay, so this is our... We're going to have a gate for 3. Gate 3. Gate 3 is... Oh, cover that in a moment. Be right back real quick. And we're back. Very staticky here in the factory. Look at that dehumidifier, or humidifier set up. All right. Looking at this, I realized we should get gates set up. easy enough. Special behavior, then do. Hello, Ember. Hello. Sparse behaviors. Yeah, we do need some typing ability inhibited. Ember is on my right shoulder and demanding all of the attention right now. So a gate by itself is just an indication of what to watch for. They're kind of a composite of things like collision, things like lifespan. Is every time a message comes through, a gate looks at it. There. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Ember is prone to getting some oil buildup on her chin, which needs cleaning, and she is... One, Ember cannot be scruffed. It restrains her head a little bit, but she can still move around. Most of the others can be scruffed to some extent or other. Sherbet can be entirely scruffed. And parse... Okay, yeah. If we have file content. Okay, what is our timer gate called? Interestingly, it is a timer gate. Need this. Make that into a timer gate. In there, and then we are going to say time to wait, which is a double. Start down to double. Properties. All right, so now we can create timer gates in the gate folder, which will need to come into existence in a moment. Contents. There's no return. Right? We need to shuffle some of the others around seeing this. That is the same result. Okay. Come on now. Check if it's null each time before we load it, because it's possible that it doesn't get created. behaviors. All right, this will load gates. And then our behavior is gate weight 3. So we're going to call it weight 3. Then we're going to take this template. Same way, we're going to have a template gate. Still has a type and a subtype. Oh, hey there, Levi. And congratulations on 14 months. Thank you very much. Good to see you again. No. Oof. Yes, welcome. Coding is going pretty well. Gates just have types. So then this one is going to be gate 3. We are converting over to a file structure. I'm setting it up so instead of hard coding, loading everything inside of a catalog object, we are creating files inside of all of this that defines how these things behave. So, like, the base lifespan of a bullet is in this. I know that if I want to reference that, I use lifespan base bullet, the name of the file. I can reference it in other files. Like I can reference it in an entity or similar. We are going to need group behaviors to be separate. Yes. Group behaviors are separate. Group behaviors reference other behaviors. So if they exist inside the base behaviors folder when we're loading them, there will be conflicts because it's possible that the behavior referenced by the group does not exist yet. With the goal being that group behaviors should not contain group behaviors or behavior groups. Oh. To wait. Is becomes increasingly tricky here. Because there's nothing stopping a behavior group from referencing another behavior group. This is the sound of... This is the sound of the data entry side of coding. So... yeah, behavior groups will be separate. Fun thing is we can still call parse behavior files on it, but it will be a separate folder that we call after. Yes. Okay. Like so. Behaviors can need gates. Behavior groups can need regular behaviors. We'll make a separate we'll make a separate type for it. Behavior groups don't have an intrinsic subtype. They are kind of a subtype in and of themselves. I want to have some way to fail in these. This one cannot fail, though. It will try to make one. Right? Behavior group did not get that. All right. Well, we can fix that. Here. Okay, this is going to be an array that we parse, an array of strings that we parse out. This is fiddly. Oh no. Because that array is going to be represented as a string. Oh, we can still do that. Since it's represented as a string, it's still going to be... it should still be parsable. So if we go into the standard catalog, right here. I don't know if you noticed, Levi, but there are YouTube emotes that would match that. Cats in box. Okay, so we do a similar thing. Where we're going to take, instead of getting the file stream value, we are going to use a JSON deserializer on it again, but it's going to be for an array of strings instead. Okay. Okay, this will treat that as a string array, then take each one of those. There you go, Levi. So this is catalog, get behavior key. Okay, so when we're loading a behavior group, it's going to look for the behavior properties to be an array of strings. And then it's going to load each one in. We will see how much that is broken and doesn't work later. But it means tab so again, behaviors are the building blocks. Behaviors and gates and similar, those act as building blocks for behavior groups. Generally, a behavior itself won't be the one to be gated. It will usually be a behavior group. There will potentially be instances of standalone behaviors being sufficient to act as a power-up, to act as a modifier on a weapon. But just as often, it will be a group where we have, like, for the duration of this gate, it does an additional hit of damage kind of stuff. Or it triggers a one-time buff to the base damage of the of all damage dealers kind of thing. Or adds, penetration count or something like that. We'll see. But usually it won't be just one thing. And we've got that in place. Collision behaviors are loaded. Or at least we have the basics for the collision behaviors. We only have the one gate, but that gate is set up now. Movement behaviors, I think, are where we're going now, because we have the empty behavior set up. That is weight 3 in behaviors. We'll reference weight 03, the gate. Okay. Now we need to go through each of the move types and have those referenced. Targeter will need to be converted from a string. If it's a blank string, we'll just use new targeter for now. This is something that I want to look at because most movements, like many movements, want to get one, but for some movements, it's a formality. Like for rotate, we don't necessarily use it. We can. But you can see they're target right because that's kind of a default. But move weight, like things like move wave, it doesn't care what the target is. All right, to get the then we need targeters first, though. There are actual targeters that are needed. Let's get those in. Okay, so this is the baseline for a targeter. So in the case of a, we're going to have an empty targeter type. That we're just going to create a targeter that we pass that does nothing. I'm sorry. We will use a base targeter and public targeter and that. Then we will go into a gate and use that pattern there. We'll remove the it can still have that because catalogable technically has a base property. Okay. So now we can set up a null targeter. All of the different types of targeter now need this. collection. Collections in there. See, many of these already do effectively nothing with what they're doing because they're relatively encapsulated. But that's okay, because what it means is this is already set. You know, we don't need to worry about what the we don't need to worry about passing actual variables in. Okay, all of these are now capable of being loaded in, which means we're going to have a targeters folder. That we're going to take our template gate here. Hello there, Titanium. Welcome. Welcome. We are doing effectively some data entry. We are setting up data files for our game to read at the beginning instead of hard coding a lot of the stuff. Which means there's going to be a lot of text to see today. But that's okay. All right. Go into our catalog. We're going to gut out this function because it won't be necessary once we're done. Yes. I have joked. Sometimes I worry that people that come into the channel are going to get a negative impression or the wrong impression of what early coding is like. This is into the weeds and running without too much of a plan. I am decent at planning in my head. That doesn't mean that you have to be or that you should be to do coding. If I were being professional about this, I would have a design document that would tell me this is how we're going to do things. And I would approach each project using the design document. Now, when I say professional, I don't mean just professional coders, as in I get paid to code kind of professional coders, because just as often in that, you don't have a plan. You're just winging it as much as anything in order to get a patch in the branch and out to release. But getting into coding is not what you're seeing here. There are plenty of nice, straightforward ways to get rolling with it, and even making a game is not as complicated as this, or it does not have to be. There's a lot of optimization and forward projection that I'm doing to try to ensure that everything works out okay. Okay, so to our targeters, we are going to make a new one, and that is whatever the proposed direction is. Let's get the classes loaded into the parse, though. Void. Wow, that was all of the wrong. Exactly. I mean, with Godot, with Unity, with almost all of them, there are baked-in functions to get the basics of things like 2D platformers, overhead like sprite-based RPGs, those kind of things. That's all really straightforward and often baked in. You can just do those things. But the things I am doing have performance implications that are requiring me to go out into the weeds and figure out my own ways of doing stuff. If we did receive file contents, it's null. Do a thing. Yep. I mean, one of the things we spent a lot of time on was rendering and collision handling. And Godot has built in for that, has a huge amount of built in for that, but optimization wasn't good enough for what we were doing. If we were doing 100 things on screen at once, with a level rendered, Godot would have been plenty for that. Are doing this so that we can get all of this lined up. Null. File name is equal to result. Dang minus, what would that even be? Okay, parse targeter files, so now we need the types for them. We're going to call this empty so we can fill it in. Longer term, I would like not to have that, but it's just as expedient to have an empty one as it is to have, well, it's not, but in this way, it's plenty expedient to have an empty one. So if the type is empty, then we're just going to create that targeter. Empty is essentially the placeholder. It does nothing. It's a wasted call. I don't like it, but it is what it is. We're gonna okay, we're gonna keep it precise here. Or we're gonna keep it concise. Direction, and then we have a variant type on that, which is proposed direction. Proposed direction just says stay the course. Whatever direction the entity is currently moving, use that. Now that isn't... Say we're moving in a straight line to the right as the original target. So the projectile is moving directly right. But then I add a sine wave to it. So now the projectile is moving in kind of a snake curve. Proposed direction is not going to be keep moving to the right. It's going to be whatever direction on the curve it's currently going. So I could have a move straight line on proposed direction that follows a move in a wave, and that would exaggerate the wave, because every moment of it would be pushed a little further. Whereas if I put a move proposed direction before the wave, it would stretch the wave, it would push the wave to the right faster. So you would kind of stretch it out. Thus is the combination system that we're trying to make. Moving feet. Okay, entity targets is whatever the entity is currently targeting. And in general, that is whatever the last targeter said, which again is different than what proposed movement would be. If I have a wave pattern doesn't have a real targeter. It takes the current movement and kind of rotates it. So it won't change the target. But move to the right would have set the target of the entity to be to the right. And it would have no entity target. That would have been the last thing, so target entity's target would be moved to the right. There is a lot of potential nuance in this. Based on how you combine the stuff. And that's exactly what we're going for. Okay. So now we have loading of targeters. Now we need to go in. We're using Godot 4.3 mono currently. So Godot engine 4.3, and we're coding it in C#. We started out trying to code it entirely in Godot. And the aforementioned performance stuff led us down this road. But again, you could do a fully functional quality game using just Godot, no C#, nothing extra. All right, so now we have all of our targeters ready. We need to go into each one and make sure that it is accepting the values correctly. A default targeter would want a direction, a target direction is always going to it's going to use its direction, or it's going to create a random one. Unreal is a strong platform. As far as complexity to approach, it's kind of on the opposite end of the scale from Unity and Godot. Far on the opposite end of the scale. If I had to suggest to people where to start, I would never suggest Unreal, but that's not because Unreal is bad. It's because it's the lowest level of all of them, which means you're kind of hip deep in it from the start. It does give you extra capabilities as a result, but it also gives you I'd call it gives you enough rope, but very powerful. It's very powerful. I'm using Godot because I wanted something kind of lightweight, but I also did not like Unity when I tried it beforehand, like some years ago, and then Unity put its foot right down its own throat with its pricing shenanigans. And despite the fact that the controversy was a bit overblown, the fact that they tried to change the contract on the sly means I don't trust them anymore. So again, targeter direction is a supplied direction or whatever else. As soon as we call update target on it the first time, if it already has a direction, if you set it, then it will use that. If it doesn't get a direction, oh no. I've encountered another trick here. How are we gonna do? Quick break, and then we'll think on this some more. Gotta work with the static. Oh man, I don't want to break more stuff. Okay. Reason I thought, oh no, we've got to think of something is this isn't a default type. So I'm going to have to treat this specially in the parsing of it. So we're going to go into targeter. And in the same way as for behavior groups, we need to do some extra parsing. Happily, we have behavior group to base this off of. Yep. Okay. So first, before we actually do this, we're going to check and see, is there a direction? Because not all targeters will specify the direction. You can, but you don't have to feed it a direction. Some of them will ignore it. If E okay, if it contains the key. Okay. So how are we going to do this is when we're entering direction, it's going to be an array of 2 integers or 2 floats. That is how we shall treat this. So we're going to get in a collection of string to string. The direction is going to be set up as an array. So, bracket, number, bracket. In theory, you could give it more numbers. It's only going to care about the first 2. Okay. So we are looking at our existing targeters. Right here. So proposed direction, entity, move to the right. We're going to skip all of these move in a fixed direction things. They're interesting for debugging. I may actually just keep targeter right. And, well, we'll keep all of them. Who cares? But we've got random direction, cursor, and player. So random direction is still a direction type, but we're not going to supply a direction to it. Down. Up, down, left. Now with each of these now, we can supply a direction. This is awkward. I acknowledge that. But this should work. So up is going to be 0, 1. Sorry, -1. Top of the screen is negative. Left of the screen is negative. All right, that should work. Do I know it'll work? Unsure. Up, right, down. Left. Right is 1, 0. Left is -1, 0. Down is 1, 0. So you have up, right, down, and left. What else do we have? Random, we have proposed, we need entity targets. Entity targets was one of them, wasn't it? Yes. The cursor. All of these are really simplistic, these files, because most of what the targeters do is kind of intrinsic, not configured. All right, so now we have our targeter types here. Okay. Already loaded all of the gates. Loaded all of the... Okay, we haven't loaded the movements yet. Let's be consistent. Underscores. All right. Let's subdivide this further. All right. I've got some. I'm going to make constants for this stuff so that it's easier to change. We're just getting it banged into place for now. So we load up the gates. We load up movement and collision. I'm loading these up in this fashion entirely. Entirely for organizational purposes. You can see behavior file is being used 3 times because it can differentiate. I'm sorry, it passes them along to the relevant thing. They're all behavior types. Special, is it a movement, is it a collision, that kind of thing. Which means we're going to move behavior groups into behaviors then. Consistent. And we'll do the same thing where we say special. All the tabs. Is a special behavior. No, it's okay that that lives there. We don't need. We don't need that for now. No, we do. We do. This is not a collision type. This is a special type. It's largely a debug type like the up, down, left, right movement, but okay. Special movements like the gate, then regular movements, then collisions. Okay. Regular movements. Hello, Ember. Quick check with the kitties here while Ember decides where she wants to sit. We have the rest of them visible. Sky up in his tree, Sammy and Mason on the bed. And then in the other cat tree, the one by the window, you can see Sherbet in his little house. He's pretty much the only one that goes in there. Ember likes to be hugged. So she is kind of up my chest and on my shoulder. She's a little sweetheart. Okay, move player. A movement behavior. Yeah, hello. behavior. One hand must pet the cat, the other hand must type. And I must flinch because one of her little murder mitts has a full razor on it, and she is currently hooking it into my shoulder. Player is the type. What? Let's go into our behavior loading here. Then set the gate key. Otherwise, it's neutral. Okay. There. Now, if they don't contain a gate, we can just omit it. It's okay if it gets set. We don't care if it doesn't. Got... movement behavior. It is called move player. Preemptive here. Yeah, we're going to be concise with these. We don't need prefixes because we can segregate these folders, and we don't have to worry as much about like robust class names. These are identifier tags within them. So we already know it's a movement behavior. We don't need to say move player here. So player has no extra values to it. Now, it's fine that the key is move player. I know. She, within the past few months, she learned that she can run to the side of my chair, like down on the floor, and demand attention as well. Like, that's an option. So she'll do that. Delay by cat. Okay, we have player movement in. Okay, targeter, it's going to be player. I don't have a player targeter. How interesting. Okay, got a player. So then in our movement here, we're going to have we're going to move them to the player. Actually, in our template, we can do that now, since we folder separated them. Line, then in a movement behavior, if properties dot contains key targeter, then targeter do services catalog get targeter. Oh, we should be doing this each time, but since we are going to now assume that every behavior should set it, so new player uses the player targeter, and it by default will use the empty targeter. Okay, so movement behaviors. Do this. Just so. That's still fine. It doesn't hurt to specify it. And okay, we can get away with this because if this fails, if it does not contain the key, we will never do the second check. All right. If it does not exist or gate is not or targeter is not filled in at all, if it's empty, oh no, it still won't work. We don't want to presuppose what empty means. Which means I don't want to set gate unless I know that I'm going to set it. Gate will be the exception in behaviors. If gate is set, set it. So you only populate the gate if you need it. Otherwise, it stays empty. Okie doke. So back to our standard catalog. Let's derail just a moment. Just another moment. Who am I kidding? Do not set the gate unless you need to. Hello, Gus. Yes, those two are Sammy and Mason. Sammy is the tuxedo. Ember is the one that's top center. She is actually really small. The camera is just very close. You can see about 2/3 of Sky. He's to the right there. And you can see one of Sherbet's legs to the bottom there. There are 5 total. Guy's getting some chin scratches right now. And back to movement. So we move the player, we move to the player. Okay, so this is proposed direction. We're going to call this one speed up. What this does is it takes the existing movement so whatever direction we're already moving in, like the current movement direction as of the time this one happens, we're going to continue to move along that another block's worth of speed. So whatever movement has already happened, it will be lengthened a bit. This can cause patterns like spirals and whatnot to distort. Because it might throw their orbit off, essentially. Which can be neat. Then I don't think we're going to use the same one here. have heard that before, Flip. Or do you prefer Gus or Flipgus? In any event, I have heard that before. We're making a game right now. This is not the most thrilling portion to be looking at. I'm converting all of this hard-coded stuff over to text files so that I can dynamically change it without having to recompile. Okay. This is moved towards our current target. So entity targets. I will I will be unlikely to remember that, Fred, but I'll try. Okay. Current targets is so to get a lock onto enemy, there's two stages to it. One is to say, do I already have an entity target? If I do, use that. If I don't, get a target. So if it already has an entity target, we're going to continue to use it with the assumption that if I've locked onto something, I don't want to lock onto a different thing at the same time. Could we have that? Yes. Would it get weird? Yes. And I don't mean the good kind of isn't that isn't that cool looking weird. It's more of a well, this doesn't work at all anymore weird. Like, for example, if you had target random enemy and target nearest enemy on two different abilities, then you could have two different enemies. And if those two different enemies were on opposite sides of you, it's possible that those two movements would just negate each other. Both of them becoming useless. And I don't want any type of movement to ever be entirely useless or non-functional in combination. It might be suboptimal, but it shouldn't become non-functional. So I don't think we're going to use entity's target because that presupposes that I've already got a lock-on of some kind. We're going to leave this one alone for now and not create a behavior for it. Our catalog. We need the upright down left. Consistency underscore, not space. moves in a straight line. It is fixed right. Let's direct targeter. Right, there's our fixed directionals. And then random direction. We're actually going to call it fixed random. In particular, it's random. It's a fixed random direction because the random direction doesn't change once it's triggered. So once the projectile exists, it will be facing and start moving in a random direction, but it will not. That direction won't change without the intervention of other types of movement. Random direction. So it moves in a straight line along a random direction that is determined upon spawn. Okay, there's all of our movements. There's all of our gates. There's my spine going crackle pop here. Oh. At the moment, only live streams. I do a little bit of coding off of the streams, but it's usually the really mundane stuff where it's, I got stuck on this. I did a lot of reading and then put some precursors in so the stream looks right. Sadly, my process is largely a core vision and kind of driving force, and then what I keep in my head. Again, I don't know if you were here when I mentioned it, but this is only working this way because I can keep plans in my head for a protracted period of time. I have a vision and I know how I want to implement it. But there is no like design doc or anything like that that I could show a clean process from. If I had that, I would. Okay, so there's all of our... Oh, no, we've got more. I don't have the rotate set up. Increment speed. I do. Radians per second. Detected. Yeah. I've done some sketches of it. I mean, the general principle of this, there's a couple of driving forces in the design. Content-wise, it's very character lore based. Gameplay-wise, it's a mashup of Vampire Survivors and Noida. We are going for bullet heaven style game, but with highly modular weaponry instead of fixed upgrade paths. I would show you if I could, but the current thing that we're coding means that I can't show you. We're in one of those refactors that breaks a lot of stuff. There's our rotate. So now we need two different types of rotate. There's the spiral in and the spiral out. Fun thing that we learned, the way that we do the rotation causes these two things to be true. Whether it's a clockwise or counterclockwise, whether it rotates inward or outward. So it's pulled in or out kind of thing. A clean orbit, like a orbit directly around at a fixed radius, we don't have yet. That's going to be very different. One of the things we're attempting to do is make it so all movement is additive. That is, if I had a orbit around the entity, that it would not override all prior movement and try to snap it to a fixed orbit. Instead, it would try to drift to where it should be to orbit around. But it could be like pulled into an ellipse by other movement or similar kind of stuff. Usually it's pulled into an ellipse or it ends up being kind of like a corkscrew movement, moving in some direction. Like an inward spiral being pulled in a direction. After that direction is established, will cause it to be like it will circle in place as it moves. Kind of a, I don't know how to describe it. If you ever saw the spiral shot in the original Contra, it'd be like that. Or it is like that. That's how it's currently working. Oh. Brain stopped. Standard catalog. All right. So we need two rotates. We'll have a rotate in and a rotate out. Okay, it is a subtype of rotate. We're going to leave the targeter as empty for now. What was it called? Entity targets. We'll ask the target, the entity for whatever target it is supposed to have. Now, this might be irrelevant. I might need to fix that. But next up, we need our move rotate. We need our angle increment and our speed. Speed to get what we were doing before was 96 times 5, 480. Our angle increment is 360 for rotate in, right? No, it's positive 360 for rotate in. Because the signs match. Take out. So for those that haven't been here or weren't here in the earlier description, we started with Godot 4.3 with, I think it was actually 4.2, just using GDScript, all inside Godot. And we got to a particular point and I realized I could not get enough things on screen at a suitable FPS. For what I want to have happen, I need to have lots of bullets on screen and I need to have lots of enemies on screen. Whole bunches of them. At a bare minimum, with our 16 by 16 sprites with the screen scaled up 6 times. So it's at a fixed 1920, so you're looking at a 320 by math, like 160 actual display. You can have like 700 things if you want to have the filled screen and space around the edge full of enemies such that you can't tell that there is a fixed gap around you or a fixed sphere around you where enemies can only be. That's at least 700 things. And then it's not unreasonable for the player to be emitting at least 6 projectiles per second. And with each projectile sitting on screen for upwards of 10 seconds, we got a lot of things moving around and bumping into each other and the like. So I've come up with a non-standard rendering option and a non-standard collision option that still let us get over 5,000 things active and moving around over 60 frames a second. We can get over 10,000. We can actually get well over 10,000. At that point, you start to dip into low to single-digit frames per second. But that's still really good for what we're trying to do. That's what we refer to as our calamity cases, where for whatever reason, we have set the game up such that the player gets completely out of control and starts to weaken the performance of the game. If we can keep frames per second, even in a calamity case, we're doing good. We're doing good. Okay, we have the rotate in, we have the rotate out. Let's get the wave pattern and the zigzag pattern in here. Wave is one of those ones that doesn't care about the targeter. And for wave, cycles per second, say double. That's how we set it up in the catalog. Yep. Oh no, we didn't set that at all in the catalog. .5 was the default, so we'll explicitly set it to 0.5. Wave motion is kind of your classic sine wave. How we accomplish it is by having what amounts to a kind of a metronome. And what it does is it rotates the current movement that is proposed for the entity along that arc back and forth. Zigzag does the same thing, but it snaps too. So, it'll be like 45 degrees up, 45 degrees down, back and forth kind of thing. Zigzag should have similar. It has cycle duration. The difference with these is because the zigzag just snaps, whereas the wave has smooth motion back and forth. So we only care about, for the zigzag, we care about how long does a particular path last. Like how long before it snaps to the other direction, as opposed to the wave, which is how frequently we shift left and right, because we have that full motion. Well, how long it takes us to flow, Okay, there's our zigzag motion. And then move to cursor. Targets the cursor. Crosser. And it moves in a straight line. Straight line is basic movement. It says whatever the targeter tells me is the direction, go that way. Go that way 1 square per second. So by changing the targeter, you can change straight line into, again, a straight line. It keeps moving in the direction it was originally given. Or it can be homing behavior, like home to the cursor, home to the player. Modularity. Name of the game. Entities. Back. I've used so much icy hot today. It's very mentholy around the factory. Okay, so to get entities in, we need spawners too. Banners, no. Spawners. Very different. Spawners are behaviors. Okay, what a spawner is it is still a behavior, so it is something that is queried every frame for an entity. But usually they will only fire once in their lifespan. It's a one and done thing. And what they do is they create additional entities. Now, some of them might create like a third-party entity. So your cluster bomb kind of behavior, where when it explodes, it's exploding into, say, like sub grenades that are their own thing. Alternately, in the case that we've got here, that we've currently got coded, it creates duplicates of the current projectile, complete duplicates. So if the projectile has lived for 3 seconds, those 3 seconds of lifespan are gone on the duplicates as well. They will continue to move in the same fashion that the original would have, but often, in the case of the spread shot, they will be rotated. So they're effectively, their perspective on the world is shifted some number of degrees in one direction or the other, so that you get that fan out effect. Okie dokie. So once again, close gates. We only have the one gate. We're not using collision just now, and because we're not using the gates, we're not using the specials. Let's get those out of the way. We are actually going to put gate in this one. Not because we're going to set it on any of these just yet, but because spawners almost universally should have a gate. Another term that's particular to the way this game works, a gate is something that segments the behavior of the projectile. The most basic gate is wait X seconds. So the projectile starts out moving to the right, so it will always move to the right. But after 3 seconds, it also splits into 3. And after 3 more seconds, those 3 things start to spiral outward. Each of those after 3 seconds is a gate condition that exists on a behavior. So if I set this gate, and this is a top-level behavior, one that is socketed into the weapon, then that gate has to open before that behavior begins. Before that behavior and every behavior and gate that follows it begins. Until the next gate. Okay, so here is our spawner template. We need to make sure that we have that in our files here. To some extent, yes, Colin. But with the idea that further down the track there is another starting line that everybody has to stop at too. It's right, like I said, right now the most basic one and the only one we have coded in is a timer-based one. But there's nothing stopping it from being like, the entity got hurt. So, like, in the case of a bullet, the behavior of that would be the bullet hits something. If the bullet hits something, it hurts itself. Bullet penetration limits are its hit points. So the bullet got hurt. Well, now a you got hurt gate can open. There are limits to how that can work. But it's that sort of thing. It's that sort of thing. about the spawning folder? It would be, we can assume that it will be spawners. Because this is the behaviors folder, they're plural. So these are spawning behaviors. Okay. So we're still going to load those in as behaviors. They are behaviors. And we only have the 2 of them. I mean, technically we have the 1. We're not using this one currently. We could. Spread 5 on 270. Then a 3 on 90. So the one we've been testing with a lot is 3 over 90 degrees. All right, so now when we're loading our behaviors, that. All right, spawning behavior, and spawning behaviors will have a subtype because it's relevant. Same general pattern though. Still loads it that way. So if its subtype is, I'm just going to say spread. We'll spawn spread. We have spawn spread does have those loaded in. So we load in angle, so it will be, we're going to say count is 3 and double. This is, we kind of don't need to do it this way, but we might as well use set values here because we're forcing it. We're saying like, okay, we set the count. If it's less than 1, we set it to 1. We determine what the actual arc angle is going to be because we use radians in all of the calculations. Should be using this in more places, but, you know, we'll get there. This is like pi over 180 times the degrees kind of thing. Something like that. Okay, so we need to do count and arc angle in each of these to get them properly loaded. So in our spawn, our standard catalog, just got spread. We pass that in. Now we need a spawning behavior marker in our parse behavior. Okay, then in the folder, no gate. We're going to keep that gate there, though. It's 3, and it's going to have an arc angle of 90. And 270. We're getting there. Okay. We should have all of the behaviors queued up. For the time being, we're going to go into our catalog constants and update that so that we don't have to change as much as we are. We haven't got textures yet. Okay, targeter player. This particular track that I've got really reminds me of a game, American McGee's Alice, and the sequel Madness Returns. They do a lot of this cello stuff, and I really like this sort of somber cello. Behaviors, lifespan. We gotta change that. Forgot about this type of behavior. So we need to load timer behaviors as well. vision. No, I didn't. Okay. Useful catch here. Span handler. Textures, entities, items. We're going to go down to our load entities. Lifespan, so this is, let's check our catalog constants, make sure we've got it right here. Left. Random. Wonder how far we'll get today. I would like to see I would like much out. No, I would like to be able to run the game again. To show progress. Okay, now we're going to go back back into our standard catalog. Yeah, behavior. Dot timer lifespan. Is collision based, and this is enemy health 0-1. Knockback quarter. We're just gonna is going to be player. Well, thank you, Verona. Thank you. I appreciate it. Did we get a collision for the player? We didn't. Oh, no. Just realized something. All of these overlap. Don't overlap with the targeters. That's okay. We're going to need to be careful about this. There's the distinct possibility of overlap if I'm not careful with spawners and the like. I may end up having to prefix these. After all. Move underscore kind of stuff. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Verona, if you're not familiar, I'm newtmechanist. I'm the proto-nanotype Vtuber. We are coding a game currently. It is a lore-based, bullet heaven, Noida mashup. Player hit. collision. It is a type collision player. Let's call it player. Should check all of these. Arm collision type. It is enemy health collision type. Okay. Player hit behavior. Player. Move the wind up mouse for now. Let's have lifespan. Have 1 HP. Hit for 1. Then when they do, they hit themselves for 1. Then behavior, which is it is random fixed or fixed random. Yeah. Okay, now we're going through the items because items are what actually controls like what's spawned and when kind of stuff. But let's give a quick start and see where stuff breaks first. All right, let's go through our parse files here. There's a get behavior happening before load file. Oh. Ew. Oops. All right, let's... Oh, we need targeters. Special types, movement types, collision types, timer. Okay, we should have all of them. Nope. Empty. This is in... It needs to be an empty targeter type. I thought I had one. Once again. Get targeter in move straight line. Wants targeter of proposed direction. Okay, that's in speed up. Should be proposed direction. Yeah. All right, let's step through them now. Targeters, got behaviors. Okay, we parse through gates, we should get one thing in gates. Okay, we parse through in targeters. We have 10 things in targeters. Cursor, empty, fixed, okay. Reload special, which gives us our weight 3. Expected movements. Load collisions now. Knockback quarter does not have a capitalized B. Does it need a capitalized B? No. Does it have one? Yes, it does. Okay. Knock back at all. We're really close. Oh, I think it's working. Okay, it broke. Okay, this is... the items that way, but we need... Those are correct. Straight line, orbit. In 90. We're loading it in. Let's run that again. Then we'll break in the spawner handling here. Okay, we are never getting a time passed into the spread. Which means some of the logic for generating the weapon, I think, is broken at the moment. Because we are getting the right item, I believe. Let's verify that we're getting to here. We should get here once when we configure it, and then we should get here again when we're copying here. Okay, spawn spread did not happen. So something got loaded, but it didn't actually... Okay, spawning behavior isn't getting loaded. Behavior spawning. Files. Okay, we have our spawners. Step in. Spawn-ing. Splitter still doesn't fire. Got 22 behaviors when this is done, but they don't load. Behavior, it has an empty gate. Targeter is listed as empty. It's got a count of 3 and an arc angle of 90. So we step in here. Have a behavior file. Type is a spawning behavior. Should get us to here. Womp womp. Helps if you actually fill the stuff in right. There we go. Collision is still working. Spawning is still working. We have our file system. Now, there are going to be problems with this. One of which is core maintainability. I'm probably going to want a system for like generating these files so I can keep track of their naming. But for the time being, I think that's going to do for the day, folks. I think that's going to do for the day. What'd you think? We've made some progress. We've got much of the file loading in there. I'm not terribly concerned with changing the names. I can do that with like find and replace in the files, that kind of thing. Look for the name where it's like target or followed by kind of thing. That way we can get a good find and replace on it and and fix stuff, because I'm not going to have hard coded in the inside of the game code those variable names anymore. It's all going to be inside of those files where it's all happening. So once I've got the behavior group set up for like, player collisions and like the bullet collision logic, that kind of thing, I'll have one place that I can go to swap them out, and then I'll have one place each where I would go to set their parameters. But pretty good, pretty good. I don't have the next stream posted yet, but we're going to shoot for tomorrow again, some more coding. I do want to get a game stream in sometime in the future, but haven't decided on what it would be. Still really looking forward to Monster Hunter Wilds in a month. I'll probably say that a lot. Because that one will become a regular game stream once we're going. There will be a lot less, what do I play for a game stream once that happens. But in the interim, maybe I'll find a puzzle game or something. Maybe we'll continue Pixel Cross Adventure soon. So it's either going to be a coding stream tomorrow or maybe Pixel Cross. But I hope everybody had a good time. If you like what you saw and would like to see more, would you like to react to your game? If you go to the Discord, you can post like links or whatnot in the suggestions forum, and I can take a look at stuff like that. And if it's something that I can cleanly access, then we can take a look at it. I can't make any guarantees on that front, but I'm happy to take a look. Come on, bot. Come on, bot. There we go. But yeah, swing by the suggestions forum in the Discord and post the link there, and I can take a look. Again, I can't guarantee that I'll address it on stream, but I may still take a look at it and can throw comments your way otherwise. We'll see. But yeah, I hope everybody had a good time tonight. If you like what you saw and would like to see more, remember to like, follow, subscribe, comment, all of those good buttons. Pressing them helps the channel grow. With all of that said, I hope the rest of your day is good, and I'll see you next time. Good night, everyone.